Welcome to Age of Steel and Fire, where modern warfare meets raw power. Tanks, tactics, and thunder. Today, we're diving into the story of one of the most powerful tanks ever built, but never used in combat. Meet the IS-7, a Soviet heavy tank designed to dominate the battlefield. With unmatched armor, firepower, and speed for its time, the IS-7 was a beast of steel. But why was it never mass-produced? Let's find out. The IS-7, also known as Object 260, was developed in the late 1940s, right after World War II. The Soviet Union was eager to strengthen its military might, and the IS-7 was envisioned as the ultimate heavy tank. Weighing in at a staggering 68 tons, it was one of the heaviest tanks ever designed by the USSR. Technically, the IS-7 was a marvel of post-war engineering. It featured a 130mm S-70 naval-derived main gun, an absolute powerhouse capable of piercing nearly any armor of its era. The gun was fed by a semi-automatic loading system, allowing for a reload time of approximately 13.1 seconds, which was faster than most heavy tanks of its class. In terms of gun handling, the IS-7 had a gun depression of -6 degrees and an elevation of +18 degrees. Giving it decent flexibility in hilly terrain and urban combat. While not exceptional, this range allowed the tank to engage targets from hull-down positions and fire over ridges with relative ease. Its armor was equally impressive. The front hull had up to 150mm of sloped armor, designed to deflect incoming shells effectively. The turret boasted up to 240mm of frontal protection, making it nearly impervious to conventional anti-tank weapons of the time. Powered by a 1,050 horsepower V12 diesel engine, the IS-7 could reach speeds of up to 60 kilometers per hour, a remarkable feat for a tank weighing nearly 68 tons. This combination of speed, armor, and firepower made the IS-7 a formidable presence on paper, even if it never saw combat. So why didn't the IS-7 make it to mass production? Despite its impressive specifications, several key factors led to its cancellation. First, the cost. Building such a massive and complex tank required enormous resources, both in materials and manufacturing infrastructure. At a time when the Soviet Union was recovering from World War II, this level of investment didn't align with its broader military strategy. Second, practicality. The IS-7 weighed nearly 68 tons, making it too heavy to cross many bridges or railways. Its size and weight posed serious challenges for transportation, deployment, and battlefield logistics. Maintenance was also a nightmare, requiring specialized equipment and trained crews. Third, the shift in military doctrine. By the late 1940s, the Soviet Union began transitioning away from super-heavy tanks toward more mobile and versatile main battle tanks. The IS-7, despite its raw power, was seen as a relic of a fading era, an engineering marvel that didn't fit the evolving needs of modern warfare. In total, only 6 prototypes of the IS-7 were built between 1946 and 1948. These were used for testing and evaluation, but none entered active service. Today, one surviving IS-7 prototype is preserved at the Kubinka Tank Museum in Russia, where it stands as a testament to Soviet ambition and engineering prowess. As for Western reactions, NATO and U.S. military analysts at the time viewed the IS-7 with a mix of awe and concern. Its armor was reportedly capable of withstanding direct hits from German 128mm shells, such as those fired by the Jagdtiger's PaK-44 gun. The IS-7's firepower and protection were unmatched, and had it been deployed in large numbers, it could have posed a serious challenge to Western armored forces. However, its impracticality and the Soviet shift toward tanks like the T-10 and later the T-54 or 55 meant that the IS-7 remained a paper giant, feared in theory, but never tested in battle. Let's compare the IS-7 to other Soviet tanks first. Against the IS-3, a famous World War II-era heavy tank, the IS-7 wins in every category: armor, firepower, speed. But the IS-3 was easier to produce and deploy, making it more practical for wartime logistics. Compared to the T-10, the last Soviet heavy tank, the IS-7 still had superior protection and firepower. Yet the T-10 was more compact, more agile, and better suited to evolving battlefield tactics that emphasized mobility and combined arms operations. Now, what about Western tanks? While the IS-7 was never fielded, its closest NATO-era counterparts in terms of weight and firepower would be American M103 heavy tank. Developed in the 1950s, the M103 was armed with a 120mm gun and designed to counter Soviet heavy tanks. It had excellent frontal armor, but suffered from mechanical issues and limited mobility. Like the IS-7, it was eventually phased out in favor of more versatile main battle tanks. British FV-214 Conqueror. Another Cold War heavy tank, the Conqueror featured a 120mm gun and thick armor, intended to support Centurion tanks against Soviet heavies. It weighed around 64 tons and had similar logistical challenges to the IS-7. German Leopard 2A6, later era though developed decades later. The Leopard 2A6 matched the IS-7 in terms of firepower and surpassed it in electronics, crew comfort, and battlefield integration. It weighed about 62.5 tons and was far more practical for modern warfare. Western analysts at the time reportedly viewed the IS-7 with a mix of admiration and caution. Its armor was designed to withstand hits from the German 128mm PaK-44 gun, used on the Jagdtiger, suggesting that NATO would have needed significant firepower to counter it. However, its sheer size and weight would have made it vulnerable to airstrikes, mobility issues, and logistical bottlenecks. In short, while the IS-7 was unmatched in raw specs, Western tanks focused more on balance, trading some armor for better mobility, reliability, and strategic flexibility. The IS-7 wasn't just a tank, it was a symbol of Soviet engineering ambition. It showcased what was possible when designers pushed the limits of technology. Though it never saw combat, the IS-7 remains a legendary piece of military history. If you ever visit the Kubinka Tank Museum in Russia, you'll find a preserved IS-7 on display. A silent giant that tells the story of a time when brute force was king. Thanks for watching. If you found the IS-7 as fascinating as I do, drop a comment below. What's your favorite feature of this tank? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into military tech, battlefield legends, and engineering marvels. See you in the next video. Until then, stay curious, stay armored.